Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Wednesday night with your host, Menachem Bernfeld. The fundamentals to gain inner peace, and if you're with us on this journey, tonight we're going to be discussing a little bit of the healing journey, and that's really what we've been doing from the beginning. This whole journey, trying to find inner peace, basically is a healing journey. So here we are tonight, class number 38. And that's what I want to do tonight, to stop and to reflect, to allow the healing process to happen and try to understand what we're looking for. And it's interesting because tonight we might not understand, but we will. Meaning to say, we're dealing with the emotions and we live in a logical world. So trying to put it into words is not always the answer. So before we start, let's do some relaxation techniques. If you can relax and become aware of where you are in the room, where you're sitting. You might be listening to recording and driving. Take a deep breath, becoming aware of the room around you, your surroundings, becoming aware of your day, where you're coming from. And try to take a deep breath just to relax your shoulders, relax your eyes. You don't have to go anywhere now. Hopefully you're just sitting in one place. Phones off, taking off just for a half hour, some self-care, time for yourself. And let's reflect for a minute, just wondering, from being with us on this journey, what are the things that are coming up? If there are any change, sometimes you become aware of things, you become more aware. So awareness is very important. And that's always number one. If you start feeling different things, different ideas, you start seeing different things, maybe thinking different things, maybe I should do something different. All of this is important to reflect and to see if there's anything going on. Are you finding time to slow down? What exercises did you pick up and did you implement? Is it deep breathing? Did you start a journal, maybe taking off for 5 minutes, quiet, and just becoming aware of your thoughts? Whatever it is. And if the answer to it is, I don't do any technique, that's an awareness too. And it's an important awareness because we want to grow. We're looking, and sometimes it comes from a place that we're not happy from where we are, but it could be from a healthy place where humans need to grow. But we're not stopping and starting to do the things that we become aware of. You hear a good idea. While you hear about it, you're like, it's a good idea, I think I should do it. But then we're too busy. And we go straight back to our routine, which is normal. And that awareness is also very important. So let's stop and reflect. Let's see, what did I pick up? What am I feeling? What am I doing? What am I not doing? Am I too busy? Why am I too busy? Am I running away from something? And you can take another deep breath because it's without judgment, just becoming aware. Very good. So last week, we discussed how we can actually create the feeling that we want to feel. We can set an intention in the beginning of the day, which is amazing. If our thoughts can make us feel, without an intention, so why not set it up the way we want? Beginning of the day, decide, what do I want to feel today? How do I want to feel? And we discussed 3 or 4 steps. Start off with gratitude, to be in a positive place, to see, look around yourself, see what you have, see the life that you have. And there's always something positive that you can pick up, even if you're going through something negative. There's always something positive, and it's hard, but we have to start practicing with a positive list. You set your intention, decide what you want to feel that day. Any positive feeling, you want to feel relaxed, confident, calm, whatever it is. And you visualize yourself, see yourself, sit for 2 minutes and just see yourself through your day with that feeling. If it's calm, you see yourself going to work, coming home in that calm state. And be able to see it, say it. And we said the affirmation should be, I am feeling calm, in the present tense. And you sense it with all your 5 senses. Wherever it is, see it as if you're there, as if it's happening already. And see it happening. And then you could ask Hashem, please help me, my day should work out. And then you let it go and you trust. Let's see what happens. Last week, it was Thursday afternoon, and the thought came into my head that I did not set my intention. So right away, that thought said, last night you were preaching, why don't you do it yourself? So I was aware of that thought. I said, I hear you. I'm still okay. And then I decided to do it. I sat down, and the emotion that I wanted to feel was to feel excited. Not sure why I chose that, but I chose excited. And I did the steps. And interesting, when I went to Mincha, it was a half an hour later, for some reason I felt very excited. And I was thinking to myself, why am I so excited? There was no specific reason. It's just, I set my intention. I was like, wow, it works. It might not last for too long, and it does take practice. For some of you, and thank you again for sharing the feedback, if it's the first time you're doing it, you might not be aware of what you're looking for and what it is, so that's also okay. Practice, and anything that you practice slowly, you're going to pick it up. And if you felt it for a minute, celebrate. Don't say, yeah, it works for a minute. Then you're going to stop. You're not going to take it further. Celebrate. Say, wow, it works. Do it again the next day. And if it works again for a minute, do it. Continue. So that's how you can grow, work on that muscle. And it's a good idea to choose one emotion and work on it for a few days, because if you jump around, you might not be aware of if you're feeling it, what you're feeling. So stick to one and use it. If you know you have to go to a stressful place, overwhelmed, which you have those feelings, before you go there, you can sit down and decide, I want to feel how I want to feel, confident, calm, whatever it is. Let's say you go to a chasana and it's too much for you. You can, you visualize yourself, what it's going to look like, how you're going to feel. And let's see. If you go to a meeting, visualize confident, what you want to say. If you have to go to a doctor's office and it's overwhelmed, imagine before what you want to feel, what you want to say, and practice. See what happens. So that was last week. And thank you again for the feedback. Please try it out. Let me know what comes up. And I'll try to help you on the journey. So while we're on this journey, what we need to remember is that we are going into unknown territories, like we discussed, out of our comfort zone. All of the work that we're discussing here, slowing down, taking time off, things come up, and not always positive. Sometimes it's negatives. So we have to be aware of this is part of the journey. You go out of your comfort zone. You try to do new things. You decided you're going to send your resume to 3 different emails. You send it out 3 different places, and they're not answering you. So you're getting nervous. You're telling yourself, you see, nobody's interested. Or maybe you got to know. So you're putting yourself out there, something that you haven't done in a while, making some phone calls that you've procrastinated for a while. You decided, you know what, let me do it. Let me try. You're actually putting yourself in a place where it's uncomfortable. And then the feedback is not always the way you want it to be. You might get some no's, you might get some negatives, it might not work the way you want. So those are the emotions that come up. There are some people who have a fear of going to therapy. Many people would benefit from getting some help from a professional. They have that fear of going to a therapist. They feel like therapy could make it worse. Or some people have gone to therapy and they feel, after the session, I just feel worse. So you're used to being in one place, the problems trying to push them under the rug. And finally, you're going for help. You're sitting in a room, and it makes sense that you don't really feel good about it. Now, again, not everybody feels that way. This is some people. Some people love it. It helps them, and it works. But for some people, it opens a can of worms. So we are learning new things, and it's something that we have to be aware. You're going to be sitting there and discussing something that's hard to discuss. For some people, it helps, it makes it easier. Some people, after they finish, I don't know if they don't feel good, but that feeling they have is not always something that they can explain. So this is another example of putting yourself in a place where you're not used to. And this is what comes up, those feelings. And we have to learn how to be okay with it. Don't run away, because this is part of the journey. Part of the healing journey is you're putting yourself in new places, and obviously feelings are coming up. So there's 2 reasons why somebody could walk out of a therapy room and feel maybe confused, overwhelmed. It's possible. It could happen. Number 1, like I mentioned, you are discussing things that hurts. Number 2 is just bringing up the past and bringing up these different emotions. This itself, you're not used to. So to be able to go on this journey, you have to be okay with finding yourself in a place, in a space that you don't like. And what do you do when you feel that? What do you do when you feel a feeling of, you can't even explain it. You didn't look at the word list of emotions to see where it is, which could be a good idea, just to see what you're feeling. But sometimes you're not aware of what you're feeling, but it just doesn't feel good. So I'm here to tell you this is part of the journey, part of the healing journey. And it's important to be aware of it. Just like we can all sometimes be under the weather physically, have a cold, sometimes fever, which is okay. When that happens, what do you do then? Maybe you slow down, you take off, you take a nap, you go to sleep, whatever it is, a hot tea, whatever works for you. But when you're not feeling well physically, you don't lose it. You're not running away from it. You're aware that it could happen. You have a cold, so you take some tissues, it doesn't feel good, and it goes away. But when we're under the weather emotionally, that's something we're not used to. Feeling under the weather emotionally. So for those who are not in touch with their emotions and now slowly becoming in touch, you might find yourself with those feelings that you don't like. So let's treat it just like a physical, like a cold, a regular cold. You feel unmotivated. You're just not in the mood of doing any work. That there's something going on. You're sad, overwhelmed, you're confused. You start thinking, what's the point of this? Why am I doing what I'm doing? These are all emotions. And become aware of it and This is it. This is part of the journey. So in the beginning, it could be hard. But we do have to learn how to treat it, how to be there with it. And it also depends how often it happens. If you find yourself in those places very often, again, it might be a good idea to get help. But I believe for beginners, it makes sense. And again, if you stay in bed, you can't come out of bed, that's a problem. Because even though we feel that way, we slowly, yes, we do it slower. We're not going to push ourselves, but we continue doing what we need to do. But we're aware of those. We feel whatever we feel. It's interesting because sometimes it's intertwined. The emotions and the physical can go together. If you're not feeling good, you're under the weather physically, sometimes it could be like you're not motivated. The emotions can come up. It could go the other way also. If you don't feel, or if you let the feelings, whatever feelings come up emotionally, it might affect your immune system, which it could sometimes create a cold, which makes sense. It's okay. It's part of it. It works together, the mind and the body. And if you're on this journey, this is part of it. You might find yourself in a place where it's uncomfortable. Another thought that can come up, and especially if you're on this journey with us now for a while, we're almost up to 40 classes. You might tell yourself, why am I feeling this way? I've been listening to these Wednesday night classes now for a while, and I still feel these feelings I don't like. I thought I'll be able to find that inner peace already. And that's beautiful feedback for me, because that means it's working. You're in a place where you're not used to, like out of your comfort zone. Things come up. So I would ask you, let's imagine that your child comes over to you and complains that they feel exactly what you feel. They start kvetching. They don't want this, they don't want that, and if your child could express it, which most children can't, they don't really know what they're feeling, but you can tell on their mood, sometimes not in a good mood. But if your child could express it, let's say they express they're not in the mood, have a meeting to go to, not a meeting, they're going to school, or kids are bothering them, whatever the story is, they come up with these emotions. What would be your response to that child? And that's important to be aware of. Like we discussed, we had a few classes on the inner child, because that's the same way you're going to treat yourself. But this is where the problem starts. Many of us, or many of you, didn't grow up that way, right? And again, we're not here to blame. There's a saying that if you can't sit in your own darkness, if you can't sit in your own negative and just sit there and understand just that it's okay to feel that way, then you can't help somebody else sit there. You can't help your child. You can't help a friend, because you don't understand it. So if they come up with something that they're complaining about, you're right away going to push it away, say, there's so much positive to look at. Why are you complaining? So if that's how you got it when you were young, now as an adult, this is part of the healing that we need. So we should be able to be there for our kids and for ourselves. And again, if we didn't get it from our parents, they probably didn't get it from their parents. It's something that if you have it, if you understand it, if you're able to sit in that darkness, you'll be able to do it for other people. And then do it for yourself. That's what we're working on. Getting out of our comfort zone, feeling these emotions, we need to learn how to stay there. If the answer is going to be, why are you complaining? You're always negative. Start being grateful. If that's where your mind goes right away. So basically, like we discussed, the message is that it's not okay to feel. Not okay. And again, I know it could be hard. Imagine you have to go to work at 9:40 and your child's bus comes at 9:30. And 9:27, they start complaining. So there's no time to do this work. Sit with them. They have to go on the bus. I have to go to work. I have to be on time. We're all stressed out. And sometimes it's okay to tell your child, we'll discuss it when you come home from school, but remember to discuss it. But this is what happens. We have to remember to be compassionate for others and for ourselves. When these things come up, it's okay. And that's part of the healing process. Don't get scared. Don't push it away. And hopefully we can change slowly, because it is a vicious cycle from our parents, from their parents to our kids. And if nobody knows how to deal with it, then we're all going to be running and trying to shut it down, because we have to continue. And then wondering why is there something bothering me? Why there's something I'm not in touch with? And then slowly you have to start the journey of, yes, it's called finding that inner peace, but there are so many pieces that we need to figure out to understand of what's really bothering me, so I can come to a place to understand I'm okay, even with all of this that's going on. Still okay. We don't have to get scared. The same way you're not scared when you get a cold, don't be scared to feel these emotions that come up. So let's stop for a minute. So what would you answer to that child? You can let me know in the chats, what ideas would you come up with? And we need to come up with some ideas for ourselves while we're on this journey, while we're on this healing journey. We're learning new things, and we're stepping into unknown territories, feeling different feelings. And when we get that no, when that email we didn't like, we should be able to continue. It shouldn't knock us down. But I don't like it. I know. Exactly. You put yourself out there. You did go out, which is amazing. Let's continue. But it's hard. Exactly. What comes up? So with some compassion, to understand that it's okay to feel the way you feel. If you have somebody else who can listen, if you can call a friend, if they understand how to sit with it, it's a good idea. But let's think about it. What would you do if you feel it? Maybe taking a nap. You feel uncomfortable. You're not sure what it is. You want to lay down for a few minutes. Maybe a warm tea. Slowing down. That's important. Pushing yourself to continue sounds good, but sometimes it could be, I don't want to be in touch. But slow down. Be aware that you don't like it. Maybe a warm bath. Go out for ice cream. Take a walk in nature. Read a book. But you have to come up with something that you enjoy, that's something that you can be with yourself while you feel this way. And we're not going to push it away so fast. We're not pushing it away. If you're in a busy situation and you can't do it right now, the same way you can tell your child, I hear something is bothering you. I would love to talk to you about it. Right after school, we'll sit down and discuss it. You can tell that same thing to yourself. You're at work. You can't just stop. There's meetings you have to go to, and you're not in the mood of. So you have to continue, but you can tell yourself, I need to sit down a little bit. Maybe when I get home, maybe when I have some time, I need to sit down and listen. Like we discussed, listening to yourself, becoming aware of what you feel in your body, of those emotions, those things that come up that you might not be used to it, but that's okay. And that's the most important thing you need to remember. So again, this is the healing journey, and sometimes you can't explain it. You're in a place where these are feelings. It's not logic. You want to talk about it, not always easy. Sometimes you could try, but sometimes it's just a feeling. Let the healing process do what it needs to do while you're on the journey. And when these feelings come up, embrace them. Say, wow, this is what I was looking for. I don't like it. I really don't like it, but it's working. So do some breathing, relax, find something that works for you. And that's how you can be with yourself. sit in that darkness. Sorry, you don't have to do it for too long, but learn slowly how to be able to sit in it, so that if you can do it when you're going through something that's hard, and you can be there for yourself, you'll be able to do it for a friend or for the child. That in Mitzvah Hashem, if you're able to be there for your child, they will be able to be there for their children. It's something that we learn. And also very important, we don't have to teach it. We don't really have to teach to others. It's something that once I can do it to myself, when they complain, you know exactly, you don't have to respond. You listen. You don't have to come up with ideas. They're not really interested in ideas now. And this is also very good for shulam bayis, for your spouse. That's that they teach. That's the first thing they teach. When they complain, it's not always that they want a solution. They just want you to be there. So that's what we're learning, to be able to be there in the uncomfortable space and not get lost, not think there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You're human. We have ups and downs. We have emotions. And this is an emotion. You might have been away for a while and not felt any emotions, but now welcome back. Slowly but surely, you become aware of your body, of yourself, and being able to sit there. Thank you very much. That's it for tonight. Again, any questions you can put now in the chat, or you can send it to me at coachmenachem@gmail.com. I do welcome all the feedback. Thank you very much for the feedback. Whatever comes up, you can let me know. It's part of the process. There's no really positive and negative. It just is. Whatever is. That's it. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next week in Mitzvah Hashem on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock.